From Little League to the big leagues and everywhere in between. From one stage to another. Passion is my middle name. I'm J.J. Davis. This is In Focus. You know, if this guy had a penny for every sporting event he's attended, well, he'd be a pretty rich guy. If this writer, now esteemed columnist, had a cent for every article he's written, he'd be loaded. He's shaking his head, that's right. So from print to radio to television to video and now to podcasting is the wonderful sports writer, the only columnist in Nebraska from the Omaha World Herald, Tom Shatel. That sums it up, doesn't it?
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Now, you're a busy guy. I mean, trying to fit him in, he's a busy guy.
Tell me everything. Podcast to do.
I know. And are you a fan of podcasting?
I guess I have to be. I find it interesting that they want writers to talk.
I know.
Especially the guy who stutters. All I do now is talk. So if you'd have told me 1980 that I'd be talking, I said, instead of writing, yeah.
You graduated from Mizzou
Yes.
in 1980. Did you imagine yourself being a writer all these years later, a columnist?
I was hoping, and I don't know how long I was going to go or what it was. We thought newspapers were going to last forever.
Right.
And how would you ever have anything else?
Right.
And that's part of the problem why they had a downfall. Nobody saw it coming.
Hey, well, I could see this coming for you because you grew up in Kansas City. What was it like as a young Tom Shatel?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, so I guess I'm a Okie. Moved outside San Diego for a long time. Grew up going to see the Dodgers with my dad, a high school teacher and coach, who I grew up outside New York City and was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. So he passed it on to me.
Oh, the bums, baby.
He took me up, I lived in Escondido, right outside San Diego, and about an hour and a half from the Dodger
Stadium.
Yeah.
Chavez Ravine.
One day I get home from school, September 9th, 1965.
He remembers the day.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
He says, Sandy Koufax is pitching tonight. You want to go to the game? I said, sure, because something always good happened whenever Sandy pitched.
That's right.
So we had tickets. We go to the game. It's Tuesday night. They're playing the Cubs. And I didn't understand the magnitude of it at the time, but I could feel the crowd every inning getting louder.
I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
It was his perfect game.
Yes.
And at the end of the ninth inning, people had their small radios, the transistor radios.
I used to do that in school.
They all turned them up to listen to Vince Scully's call of the ninth inning. It was the most unbelievable thing. I didn't, at the time, understand what that meant.
So get this. Vince Scully calls what? Don Larson's perfect game?
Yeah.
And then later Sandy Koufax.
Yeah. So
how did you move to Kansas City?
Yeah, my parents wanted, I mean, they like California, but they wanted me to live in the Midwest. So he got a job at Dubuque, Iowa. I lived in Dubuque, Iowa for 3 years.
Trust me, I know about that.
I discovered, I was a San Diego Charger fan, Lance Allworth, but I didn't really know football until I moved to Dubuque, Iowa. And it was all Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Channel 3, Madison, Wisconsin, every Sunday. Ray Scott.
The immortal Ray Scott, the voice of the Packers.
Being a California kid, I still had to watch AFL at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Watch the Raiders.
Right.
Every Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's Packers at noon, Raiders at 3.
And
so were there for 3 years, and then we moved south down to Kansas City. May of '70, right after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we got to experience Kansas City after a Super Bowl win, and that was fantastic.
You know, I still see that video. Remember Hank Stram?
Yeah.
38 toss power trap, 38 toss power trap. Otis Taylor, Willie Lanier, the works.
After a Sugar Bowl one year, I went to that site. I said, I got to see where Tulane Stadium was.
Right.
So I got in a cab and went there to the campus and talked to some people at Tulane. I said, where was the old stadium? They showed me where the old stadium was, and it was sort of a courtyard sort of area with grass between buildings, and it wasn't marked. It just, there it was. And I was you see Hank Stram up and down.
Holding that, he used to have that paper, that program, he used to furl it up. So what kind of kid were you? Were you a precocious little kid? Were you introverted? You know, were you a sports kid?
I was kind of a loner. I liked having friends, but I think stuttering kind of set me back a little bit. And I always wonder if that's why I got into writing, because I wrote.
Right.
That's how I communicated.
Right.
And I like to write. It got to be fun. And that was my best subject in school. And then one day, 1978 kind of area, started watching a TV show, The Odd Couple.
Oh my gosh.
And I started watching, and they had this character on the show,
Felix and
Oscar Madison, Jack Klugman.
That's right.
The baseball hat backwards, typing. We got the beer overflowing, and he's typing, and he's a fun guy. I thought, this is like how I want to be that guy.
I'm trying to figure out, you'd be Jack Klugman, I'd be probably Tony Rand.
Yeah. and so that's how I became a sports writer.
All right, now, because you are a sports writer, now a columnist, in school, English, whatever, high school, I mean, were you good at it? Participles, predicates, all that stuff?
Yes, I absolutely worked at it too. I had a little flair for words, whatever. I don't know how that happened or where it came from, but I worked at it. I could kind of tell. If I worked harder, I could be good at it, and I was driven. I've always been driven. I always had a lot of ambition to be somewhere better, somewhere, And so, 8th grade, I was 13. Man, it might have been 9th grade. I got a job at the Jackson County Advocate in Grandview, Missouri, which it came out twice a week.
Uh-huh.
So I said, I'll do whatever you need. And he said, well, we need somebody to go cover high schools.
Okay.
So I covered Grandview High School, my high school, which was Hickman Mills High School, Ruskin High School. I'd go to Friday night games, and I'd come back home and type a story.
We've been there before.
And they paid me 25 cents an inch. And I just filed a column last night. It was too long. That's why I write too long. 25 cents an inch. So then from there, as I was in high school, I got jobs at different suburban papers. Uh-huh. And I spent my entire high school life, Friday nights, at football games or basketball, getting stories, going home. I never went to Shakey's Pizza. I never dated. I never had anything, parties. I didn't have a beer till college.
But that's pretty much our life. When you're a broadcaster or a writer, I call it nomadic. We're just kind of nomads. So you graduate from Missouri in 1980.
Yeah.
How'd you get to the Star, the Kansas City Star?
Well, I worked my way through. When I was in college, and actually when I was in high school, I called Star. Can I help? What do you got? They said, yeah, we need somebody to come in Sunday mornings and answer the phone.
Answer the phones.
And I tear the AP wire.
Right.
The AP wire, probably AP copy, which was, you can't even explain it.
Because that was it back in the old days. That's where we got our news from.
It was this machine with yellow paper. It could spit out yellow paper with all the stories on it. I'd have to do that. So I got in there. I would drive down to the Star, downtown, Sunday morning about 10 a.m., answer the phone. Sports. Yeah. Me and my buddy got a bet. How many home runs, or who had more home runs in 1961? Was it Mickey or was it Hank Aaron? I guess I had my baseball encyclopedia right next to me.
That's right.
It's like,
the Bible. It's the
so I
Bible.
get those calls, and the guy, you told the guy the answer, you go, "Are you sure?" All right, well, tell this guy that. He'd hand the phone to his buddy, and they're both drinking it Sunday morning. And so that was my job. I did all that stuff, and eventually I got to be the high school correspondent for the Star.
That's
you
a
call
big
on
deal.
the games.
Yes.
Big deal. And then I would just, I worked during the summer. Anything they needed me to do.
All right.
So then when I was at Mizzou, I was their Missouri writer, their correspondent.
Right.
So I helped out. And so just work at any angle you can get to get a job. Any experience.
Because you got to get your foot in the door.
Yes.
Kansas City Star.
Yeah.
St. Louis Sun. Dallas Morning News.
Oh, God,
and
yeah.
since 1991.
I tried to forget the St. Louis Sun. That was a year of my life I'll never get back.
Well, I was going to say, since 1991, he's been at the Omaha World Herald. Now, we've all had a story of a station, or you've just mentioned, a newspaper where it didn't go well. Tell me about that.
Oh, well, St. Louis Sun was me being at the Star 10 years, and I never really liked St. Louis, but I went there anyway.
For the job.
I got a big raise.
Right.
I was been there 10 years, hadn't gotten paid much, and so didn't really understand you don't get paid in this job. You don't make money. You should be happy. Wasn't very happy in St. Louis. And they spent but I went everywhere. I went to any game I wanted to in the country. If I wanted to, like Michigan, Ohio State, I flew up on Tuesday to interview players and I flew back that night. Just whatever you want to do, you go do it. And there was a reason that 7 months later it folded. 7 months to the day, I was sitting in the newsroom typing a story about Missouri going on an NCAA investigation or something. The sports editor tapped me on the shoulder, "Stop writing." "What do you mean?" "What? I'm writing. It's over." "What do you mean it's over?" They just folded the paper.
I've been there. I've been there.
I got a job for 2 months. And I had a lot of friends. He's friends with the Key. I told my daughters this, friends with the Key, the Dallas Morning News.
Right.
A woman who was covering tennis for them became pregnant and decided she wasn't going to work anymore. So 2 months later, opening came up in Dallas. It flew me down. My buddies got me in the door. A month later, I was at Dallas Cowboys training camp.
All right, now, we got less than
How'd
2
that
minutes.
happen?
We got less than 2 minutes. But as you've heard, he does probably write a little bit longer on the printed page. So we have a little bit of time left. You come to Omaha, 1991, writer. You're the only sports columnist in the state.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that meant. I wanted to stay in Dallas forever.
Right.
As I'm sure some people here would wish I'd had.
Hey, Tom, I stood on the Star at Texas Stadium. I actually stood on the Star. That's a true story.
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be a columnist. I'd read columnists my whole life, but now it was my turn, and I didn't know how to do it. I had a lot of ups and downs the first several years, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. First, I wanted, this was the era of like Rush Limbaugh and talk radio, people screaming and yelling and ripping. So I became a guy who wanted to rip to get my attention. And I thought, that's not really me.
Right.
And it's not Nebraska.
Right.
So me and the readers had some years where the boxing gloves were off and we went at each other. And then I finally figured out, some would say when I had kids, that's maybe true. Well, I softened? No, maybe I call it, I think I just got a little older and a little wiser.
Well, listen, I think when we all have children, you write a lot about perspective. It changes our perspective on life. And I wanted to ask you what you're thankful for this holiday season, but I'm just thankful that you came on this show.
Oh, absolutely. I love
want to
this.
appreciate it very much.
I wish I could stay longer, but yeah.
We can talk forever.
I'm thankful for the job. This is the greatest job of my life, and I'm thankful for the readers, the best readers anybody could ever have, because
there it is.
They love college football year round. And
that's right. They love college football, and as you once said, it is a privilege to cover sports and not a right. It's a privilege to talk to Tom Shatel. He's the guy most of the time. I agree with him. Coming up next, This woman is everything, and I mean everything, after the break. For days, I've been pondering, how can I introduce this woman? She's everything to everybody. But first and foremost, she's a wife, a mother, and a cancer survivor.
That's right.
Oh, she also is a PA, a physician's assistant. Oh, yeah, she also owns her own business. Oh, yeah, that's right. And she's also a very esteemed actor here in the metro area. Without further ado, sound the trumpets, everybody. Joining me right now is Leanne Hill Carlson. When you hear all that, what do you think?
It sounds pretty exciting, and I'm so grateful to have all of those things in my life.
What comes first?
My kids.
Amen.
And then, of course, my family and my friends.
Right.
And then everything else is my career, right? Like all of those things are my career.
Now, you've gone on record as saying, I didn't intend it to turn out this way for the journey to take the course that it took, but I'm happy it did.
That's right. That's right. And I have to talk about this all the time. My patients, wait a minute, you do theater? Like, yeah, I'm singing and dancing.
That's right. And you've also gone on record as saying that they also ask me to sing and dance sometimes, which I do.
Uh-huh. Yeah, oh yeah, why not?
Where did it all begin?
So I would say that it began when I saw Annie at the dinner theater back, I can't remember what it was called, upstairs dinner theater. And I was 3 or 4, according to my parents, and I decided I wanted to go on stage and during intermission and start singing.
Were you always singing? Were you one of those kids that you see now on all the social media?
Yes.
She was singing at a young age. She was, yeah.
Yep, that was me. I made my parents, I only knew Annie and Wizard of Oz, but I made my my parents pretend to be Hannigan and Rooster. So I guess that was me.
All right. Papillion La Vista High School, the Monarchs, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year. I got the part of Huddle in Fiddler on the Roof.
One of the many times you played that
Yes,
role.
one of them. You have done your research.
Yeah, well, what the heck.
And that was definitely it for me, because I experienced being on stage in a pretty large role, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do with my life.
But you also give credit to some of your teachers.
Heck yeah.
They help foster a love of music and theater.
Mr. Nienhauser and Mr. Cecil, and they're just incredible, and I look back at them, give them many of my credits.
All right, and you graduate. The Bearcats? Sam Houston State?
Yeah.
What took you down to Sam Houston State?
So great memories, some of the best memories of my life at Sam Houston. They had a really good musical theater program. That's what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. There wasn't much of that in Nebraska at the time, and I knew I wanted to get away. Mm-hmm. A cool thing about Texas at the time was that they offered a scholarship, in-state tuition if you had a certain amount of scholarship. Uh-huh. So I was able to go there without any debt and foster my musical theater education, and it was incredible.
Did you have any official training leading up to that? Voice lessons. I took voice lessons years ago.
No, I went in there just with my high school theater, love and a little bit of community theater, but nothing else.
Do we call that natural talent?
Well,
because I never had it.
I had a lot of training in college.
Really?
And beyond.
And you also had some operatic training.
That's right, yeah. So I did college light opera company in Falmouth, Massachusetts, and then I had voice teachers that I trained in light opera.
10 shows, 11 weeks with the opera
right.
company? 10
Yes.
shows, 11 weeks?
Yes, it was incredible. And who has the energy for that but a 22-year-old, right?
But also it's valuable training because you learn scripts. I mean, it's always tough to go over scripts. We all have our own style, but it had to help in that regard.
It did. I would say going into then PA school and having to memorize anatomy and all this stuff. I was the best one in that group because of my memorization from clock.
So you come back and you decide, medicine. I want to go into medicine.
Well,
What?
let me tell you.
Okay.
So this is the one I have to repeat a lot. So my senior year of college was when 9/11 happened. And that just seemed like a very scary time to go to New York as a young person. And I didn't know, there wasn't the internet and all this stuff that you could, I don't know. It seemed scary. And I thought, I'd like to help the world too. I like school. Not that theater doesn't help the world, it does. But I'd like to help in another aspect. And I liked school. I knew I wanted to go on to get my master's or my doctorate. So I thought, well, let's just take a break and try to go to PA school. I don't know if that's a break.
No, I mean, there are a lot of people who, because of 9/11, there's a lot of people who decide to do something else because they want to help people or help defend their nation. So it's really not a surprise. What did your friends think?
I think people were understanding, yet, like, okay, well, whatever. And I said, well, I'm always going to be in theater. I just have to figure out what that looks like. And I was 22,
So now you have your own business. What's the name of that business?
It's called Finesse Advanced Medical Aesthetics.
Repeat that in English. What's it mean?
So my partner and I came up with it. We opened it in 2017, and it is a medical spa, basically.
Right, because you've gone on record as saying, I sculpt faces.
I do. That is I use my art part of me to do medicine.
That's incredible. But you've also found some time to do some theater. I mean, the Omaha Community Playhouse, of course, as everybody knows, is celebrating its 100th year. So they have now this spotlight on these special, talented people that have crossed their stage. Who's the first one? This woman has done everything, played every role. All right, ready? 10 seconds. Give me the roles that you played that you love the most. Ready?
Yep.
Go.
Elwood's Legally Blonde, Sarah in Murder Ballad, Helena in Indecent, and Mike, Pilot and Grounded.
That's right. Pilot and Grounded. 85 pages, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
How did you do that?
I have trauma from it still. I'm trying to memorize the script right now, and I'm still. So how did I do it? It was every waking minute. I really didn't think I could do it.
Right.
I actually pulled out of the audition.
Boy, that's a story. I've never heard that story before, because I love going to auditions because I love being comfortable being uncomfortable. And I love the challenge because I always say victory is in the attempt. Yep. And when I don't get cast, which is most of the time, I always say
to me.
It's their loss. So what was the story behind you backing out?
I knew that time frame of memorizing 85 pages in 3 weeks. And I was like, I can't physically do this. I'm working, I'm a mom, I'm blah, blah, blah. And the director said, I think you can.
But don't you find that those roles are the most rewarding?
Yes, it was very rewarding. It was very hard to be by yourself, too. Yeah.
And on stage as the only one.
Exactly.
It's just you.
It was just me. I was inside a plastic box. It was in the middle of COVID. We were all isolated. I didn't get to talk to anyone afterwards. Just Greg Shear and I hanging out in the back.
Did your husband notice anything different about you? Because you know how sometimes we take it home.
I always take it home. So unfortunately, he has to deal with that with every show.
What do you like more? Acting, singing, dancing, if perchance we can call you a triple threat?
Acting. I thought about that. Acting, for sure.
Why?
It causes, I love to sing and I like to dance. I love to sing and I really love to act. I like doing straight plays as much as I do musicals. And the reason is because I like to tell a story. I like to delve into a character and get down and dirty with it.
How do you research your character? Everybody has their own way.
That's a good question. I do a lot of digging before I probably even audition. Like, I'm going to go into an audition, I'm going to be really prepared. So and then once I'm in it, then I will it's just a process. I don't know if I can explain it. I have to
okay.
live it.
Yeah, I get it. I always call it the magic because you really don't know when the magic's going to occur.
Right.
And at least it really doesn't happen that much. But when you're in it, when it happens, you can't explain it and you just know. I also know that you're kind of springing onto the scene here in Omaha. I believe the Metro's trying to start a cabaret type thing.
Yes. So that's really fun. That's brand new. And there's a few of us that are putting together like a musical theater bar cabaret, so like a very casual situation. So look for that in the future.
What songs do you like to sing? Or do you like to sing original songs or Broadway songs?
Yeah, so I like to sing all of it. I really like to sing more body cabaret kind of thing. I think that's what gets the audience excited, but I'm open to it all.
Do you know fear?
Yes, I'm a cancer survivor.
Correct. Tell me about that.
So that's this year still. I can't believe it's still this year. I went in for my routine mammogram and it came back through many other tests as cancer. And that was very surprising. I don't have it in my family. So I just dealt with it.
We find out a lot about ourselves as actors, but what you find out a lot about yourself knowing that you had cancer.
That I'm tougher than I thought I was. I took that by the horns and I said, I'm dealing with this. I'm not taking any chances. I'm having everything removed and I want the least chance that it will ever come back and I'm going to live my life.
And of course you had your son and your daughter and your
That's
husband.
right. Yeah.
What did it mean to have them by your side?
Incredible. And everyone in the community, my friends, my husband who organized my medical care,
Right.
and my kids. It was hard for my kids. They don't understand it.
It might be hard, and it was hard, but what's easy in terms of the acting for you? It seems like everything. What's the role that you haven't played that you want to play?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I wish I knew this question going into this. I've got, I don't know. That's bad. I'm
All
sorry.
right, that's okay. Okay.
I need to research this.
But she does know what's coming up in your future.
I'm so excited. So it's been a long time since I've been on stage because of cancer. So I'm coming back and I'm going to be playing the role of Tony in Appropriate at the Blue Barn that Sarah Paulson just played.
And you got permission to say that?
I did. I did.
Because we know it's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So you've already started your research?
I have, and I've actually already memorized Act 1.
Good job, baby. I
need
love
to.
that.
Yes.
All right, now this is the holiday season. We've got 45 seconds.
Okay.
What do you want to be thankful for?
Oh, so much this year. I'm thankful for my life. I'm thankful for my friends, my family, and my opportunities and the future. That's what I'm looking forward to.
What an opportunity. The future I thought was going to be pretty good with this actress, but it turned out even better. So, Leanne Hill Carlson, from the bottom of my heart, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It means a lot. That's right. She is the one, the only one. But she'll tell you there are others. So for In Focus, I'm J.J. Davis with Leanne Hill Carlson, and happy holidays, and of course I'll see you next year.